Hi guys, welcome back to Get Your Shit Together. I am your host, Belen Salomon, and I'm so happy you're here. I want to start with first apologizing that this did not come out on Monday. I was not feeling great this weekend. I had a terrible headache for multiple days and I really just needed rest. So that's what I did. I laid in bed, I ventured to the couch, watched a lot of Netflix, hung out with Fiona and Alejandro, and just kind of let my body do its thing. Obviously last week's episode, I talked about, removing caffeine from my diet, focusing on lowering my cortisol levels. And I really think it was like my body legitimately like detoxing and really almost like the caffeine withdrawal hitting me a little bit later than I thought. But I did not give in. I had no coffee, even though everyone kept telling me to have coffee, but I just didn't. So I'm happy to be coming out of that because I really I did not feel great. And the heat, it's very hot here in Texas. It's hot everywhere, but it really affects me, the heat. And obviously I'm staying as hydrated as I possibly can and staying, in AC and all of that. But when I am outdoors for the couple minutes that I do go outside, because I obviously want to get my walks in the morning, it really does a number on me. So if you are also experiencing insane heat, make sure that you're hydrating because it's fucking intense out there. So, but I did want to bring up last week's episode because I got really awesome feedback. So I wanted to thank you guys. I'm so happy it resonated with so many of you. And it's definitely something I want to discuss more and get into. But I just feel like, it's a really important topic and it's not something that's really talked about a lot. So I was a little nervous putting it out there, but I'm really happy that, that it was taken so well. And, my DMs are always open if, you have more questions or just feeling a little bit lost with where to start with lowering your cortisol and, kind of making your priority and getting your nervous system in check, because I think all of us live a life of go, go, go. And we're always on our phones and we're always wanting more. And it's about taking a deep breath and kind of peeling back the layers, So I was super stoked that it was received so well. So thank you. And today's episode, it's funny. Every time I come in here, I always think I have an idea of maybe where I want to go. And then I always end up doing all my notes and end up going a different direction, but it's a good direction. So I thought it would be, hopefully knowledgeable and informative for you guys to do an episode on decluttering. And I wanted to make this as efficient as possible for you guys because I know decluttering can be very daunting and can be very overwhelming. And then you get into this cycle where you're like, it's so bad, where do I start? So I broke it down to 5 different topics, and you can do all of these under 5 minutes. And it can be something that you do quarterly, yearly, one of them definitely not yearly, and I'll get into that. But, something that you can be doing seasonally, whatever's going to work with you and your schedule. And I do this depending on each category that I have here. I do them obviously more than often because I'm just very organized and very type A and, rigid. But I think if this is a habit that you can get into, it will help and it will just become a natural thing for you. So my first one for decluttering under 5 minutes is sheets and towels. If there's stains, if there's holes, rips, unraveling, they're not serving you, you're not using them, it is time to let them go. However, that doesn't mean throw them in the trash. You can't even really those can't go to Goodwill, but what you can do is donate them to your local shelter, to your local vet, and give them to animals in need. That way it's being repurposed and, you're doing something good. I always usually do a sweep of this, usually once a year for towels and sheets. I think that's a good, realistic timeline. I like to replenish our towels because obviously you're using them every day and like you're washing them. So like they do get like worn and tear and all that, which is the point of towels. So what I like to do is I'll usually start like a little pile and then I'll get the pile like at a decent size and then I'll donate it to my local vet or my local animal shelter. I make sure that they're going in need. So that's a great way to declutter that space and either, of course, replenish with new or just get rid of the excess. Because a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this too, actually, is I keep a lot of unnecessary stuff sometimes, not so much with sheets and towels. It's a little bit more with clothing, but with this kind of stuff, it just feels good to like get rid of it, know that it's going to somebody else and it's going to be repurposed. And then like, it's like clean, it's a nice space and you can see everything. So I promise you that will take you just about 5 minutes to do. You're going to know what needs to stay and what doesn't need to stay. And that will be done. And you're good for a year, you know, like that doesn't need to be something that you're constantly like decluttering. My second one is Tupperware. Now, I don't know about you guys, but my Tupperware is like socks. Somehow that always goes missing. And it's just Alejandro and I, so I don't even know where it's freaking going. But make sure every bottom has a lid and, well, make sure every bottom has a top and every top has a bottom. And if they don't, it's time to let go. Unless it's glass, which I have switched all of our Tupperware to glass and I still somehow manage to not like find the lids. They get misplaced, they get broken. You can definitely repurpose the glass bowls because you can cover it with tin foil. You can use it for like mixing bowls. You can also, a lot of the Tupperware, you can like get the replacements online. I get a lot of ours on Amazon. It's just easy. Sometimes if I'm at Home Goods or Target, I'll also replenish there. I really don't use plastic. I honestly haven't bought in plastic in so long. If we were having like a party or a barbecue, I probably would to give like leftovers, but I really try to stick to glass and plexiglass. But go through that drawer or whatever section you keep all of your Tupperware and just like get rid of any lids that don't belong to a bottom because it's just taking up space and it's pointless and it's just like, it's just there and it's like daunting to look at it every time you open the drawer. And it's so funny because I will get so unmotivated with this. And what I did was I like replenished all new. And now I always make sure like the lids go on top. And when I find that happens again, I like go through everything, find the mix and the matches, get rid of the lids and like either replace them or just get new. And I use the bowls for, again, mixing bowls or fruit bowls, whatever. You can use it for a million different things. Third, freezer. I feel like we all forget about the freezer. So obviously, you know, the point of putting food in the freezer is that it'll last longer. However, there's always items in there that like maybe they're so old that the label's off, you don't even know where the expiration date is. Or like what I'll do is I'll put like, if I see that there's strawberries in the fridge and they're getting moldy, I'll put them in a Ziploc bag, but sometimes they'll go all the way in the back of the freezer and like so much time has passed, I don't even know what the fuck is in the bag. It's like melted, it could be moldy. So this I suggest doing like once a month, like go through your freezer and like whatever looks old and outdated, like discard of it because it's just taking up space. And also like, it's all about clutter free. It's all about having a clean space. And even the freezer, as simple, like as ridiculous as that sounds, it is such a simple task. And I find that happens a lot. Or like, you know, the pea bag opens and there's just like peas everywhere and it just gathers all this like just junk in the freezer. And I feel like it takes moving to look through your freezer. And I'm completely guilty of this because I remember even like before we moved here, when we moved out of the previous home we were in, when we got into the rental, I remember going through the freezer and I was like, what is this shit? I don't think I looked at it for 4 years. So I would do a sweep of that definitely once a month. And whatever you're not using, I would discard. Make sure that the expiration is not super outdated and, you know, have that section nice and clean and like give it a little wipe down too, you know, because those drawers get really dirty and it's just like, I don't know. There's no point in having that all gross and dirty because you're just going to keep stacking and stacking and stacking. And then you're going to lose track. And then you're going to be like, oh, is this from like 2019? It happens, you guys. It happened to me. So that's the third tip. Fourth tip. I would say I do this like 3 times a year. And I go through my socks and underwear drawer because just like the Tupperware, the socks somehow always loses its mate. And then you just have like kind of double of everything. And it's like not even double of anything. You're like grouping things together. So do a sweep of that. Get rid of any mixed match socks, socks with holes, underwear with drawers, bras that you're not wearing. Declutter that space. It's areas always that you're not looking at because you close the door and it's like out of sight, out of mind, but it's just building and building and building. So declutter your underwear drawer. I've been doing this way more often than usual. I usually would do it like once a year. Now I find myself doing it every couple months because as soon as the drawer gets like all disheveled and there's like socks and underwear spewing, I'm like, okay, it's time to tighten this up and get rid of the socks that do not have a mate, have holes, or I'm not, because you kind of get sick of certain socks, like they lose the elasticity. Get rid of it. It's not serving you. It's taking up space and there's no point in having it. So definitely go through that drawer. And if it's not your sock drawer, maybe it's like your workout drawer or your pajama drawer. Just remove anything that has holes, that's been worn, and replenish. 4. That was 4. 5. Pantry. Oh my God, you guys. I feel like this is something that I'm constantly struggling with expiration dates. And if you have canned goods, packaged foods, anything that has like an expiration on it, check them constantly. Definitely not once a year, definitely not every 6 months, especially if you're buying like organic, it expires so much sooner. And I recently went through this with, some beans in our pantry that I bought here in Austin. And I'm like, I get so mad when I realize that it's expired because I don't want to waste food. But what happens is I'll go to the store and I'm like, oh, I should pick up this can of beans. And then I put the can in front of the other can and then it's just like this domino effect. So check those items because they expire quicker than you think. And again, it's just taking up space. Same with your spices. Like I think spices last so long and they don't. So cleaning, doing like a monthly sweep of your pantry, I think would be super beneficial and also just like good to know like what you're eating, especially also if like me, I remove a lot of my stuff and put them in containers. So I need to be like very diligent and thorough, making sure like we're consuming it because I removed the expiration, not removed, but I got rid of the packaging that it came in. You can also like definitely put like a little label with the expiration date, but just to be safe, like maybe do the sweep and make sure that you're not like having items that are about to expire. And with that, I will say the same thing goes for like your medicine drawer. And I went through this weekend. I was like looking for Tylenol and it was expired. And granted, we don't ever take it, but it made me think like, fuck, our Benadryl was expired. Like if we had an allergy reaction or Fiona did, like, of course you can go to CVS and pick it up. But like if it's, a bit of an emergency, you don't want to be like, fuck, it's expired. So doing those sweeps more often than less, I think makes a huge difference. It's more cost effective. And you just know like everything that you have in your home is, ingestible and not expired and you didn't waste money. So the pantry, the medicine drawer, spices, all that kind of goes hand in hand and just kind of keep an eyes on it and make sure like you're good to go. And lastly, for a 5-minute decluttering, I added one on here. So this is going to be tip number 6 is clean out your car. So obviously you guys know I'm like very like strict with my car and clean spaces. But like it happens sometimes where like I'll grab a hoodie or a hat or like a cover up and I'll put it in my back seat and then like maybe it'll fall into like the floor and I won't see it and like that will build up or like I have a reusable tote and it's back there or I have dry cleaning in the trunk and I haven't been. So I think if you can get into the habit of once a week, making sure there's no trash in your car, water bottles, old items of anything that's in your car, especially if you're somebody who's really on the go and you kind of like always have stuff in your car, make sure you're doing that once a week. Remove the sweater, remove the trash, give it a wash. Like, you know, I'm very big on this, but like respecting your environment and making sure that like, you know, it's in check and you're in check in a sense. And you want to like get into your car feeling good and not like, oh my God, it's dirty. It's full of shit. I didn't take like the water bottles out or my coffee mug or whatever it is. Like do a sweep once a week, whether it's on your day off or you dedicate, you know, a day during the week to do this, because you're going to feel so much better. And obviously, you know how I feel about the gas tank. So if you're also running on E, like make sure you put gas in your car so that you're not frazzled. And I think it's just about like setting yourself up for success. And these are small habits to get into that will set you up for success. As simple as cleaning your car once a week, making sure all the shit is out of it, and having respect and pride and knowing like you did your best, you know, and if you couldn't do it on the day that you hoped, let's say, that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. You can still do it tomorrow and, you know, set yourself up to feel good. And I think having your space around you clean is so important. I'm such an advocate of this because a clear mind, you know, works so much better with a clear space. And if you're someone who spends a lot of time in their car, like that is an important place to start because it's going to be a reflection of everything else. Your home, your bedroom, your surroundings, your kitchen, everything. So if you can start with these small little steps, it will make such a humongous difference. And I try to make these simple and under 5 minutes, like I said, like very easy. So to recap, 1 is sheets and towels. If it's stained, if it's got a hole, time to let them go. Donate them, give them to your local shelter. Tupperware, if it doesn't have a matching set, time to let it go. You can reuse your glassware and order the lids online, most of them. Freezer, do a freezer sweep once a month. If you can't recognize it, if the expiration date is gone, time to let it go, make space for new, and just have that space clear and you can see everything. Number 4 is your socks and underwear drawer. Same thing. If it's got holes, if it doesn't have a mate, time to let it go and make space for new matching sets. And number 5 is the pantry. Make sure that you are keeping tabs on anything that has an expiration date on it. If you removed items from packaging, make a note, put a sticky note, just do something that has the date so that you know it's not expired. And lastly, the car. Do a weekly sweep. Make sure that everything that has any trash in any of the areas of your car is being cleaned out so you have a clean space. I hope this was helpful. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for following. Thank you for rating. And I hope you guys have a great week. And I will see you next time. Bye.